Hello, everybody. I am really excited today to talk to Sherry Winn. Now, Sherry Winn has been an Olympic athlete playing team handball, and she's also been a fairly winning coach of college basketball. And Sherry, I want you to start by telling me about your coaching basketball experience and how you pretty much stepped in it right from day one.
Well, it was so funny because when I knew I was going to be coaching, I spent a whole summer literally going over all these offenses and defenses and skills and whatever. And I was really excited about coaching basketball. And when I get to the practice, I realize, oh, I'm not coaching a ball. I'm coaching people. And people come with a lot of different ideas, methods, what they hear. I could say drama. They come with drama. And so I had to learn really quickly. It wasn't about coaching a ball or coaching an offense or coaching a defense. It was about coaching these young women. And how was I going to get these young women to play together? And that was probably the toughest thing that I did every single year was getting people to play together.
So, is there a huge difference between coaching individual athletes versus coaching athletes that have to function as a team? I mean, obviously there is, but what is it?
Well, when you function as a team, you can't just think about you. And of course, we all think about ourselves because that's our number, that's what we think about most of the time, every day is us. But when you're saying to them, look, you have to do for the good of the team. And inside they're going, well, what about me? Like, I want to be the one who shoots the ball. I want to be the one in the newspaper. I want to be. And so getting people to understand their roles and their roles are important, no matter what anybody else says, like the newspaper and, the here comes the news station, the reporters, and everybody wants to be on air or whatever. But if you can get them to understand what their part is crucial, and you can really get them to play that part well, and then give them the accolades and the rewards and all that thing for doing their role, even if their role is not noticed outside of the team. That's essential.
So, is it really a matter of trying to find a way to overcome our human instincts to be, me, the center of attention? Is that part of it?
That is part of it, which is really hard. I mean, it's really hard. You think about it, because when I was an athlete, it was all about me, and I thought I was looking at it from the team perspectives, team perspective as an athlete, and the reality was I couldn't, right? Because you can't, if you're on the team, you can't view it from here. It's kind of like if you're in a building and you're in a skyrise and you're at the very, very top penthouse and you look out, you see the ocean and you see the sunrise, you see the sunset, and you're like, you get this whole view. But if you're on the basement floor, you look out and you see nothing, right? You see nothing. Well, that's the difference. Like, that perspective is so different, and trying to get people to see a different perspective is really challenging.
So I mean, this is dead obvious that these insights, learnings, experiences that you've had make for a pretty compelling workshop presentation in the corporate world. What, very briefly, tell me what that transition was like, taking all of that stuff and then bringing it over here.
Well, I have to be honest with you. Of course, I'm always honest. I hate it when people say that. I have to be honest with you. Like,
This
I
time,
lie.
yeah.
I write a lesson. I'm gonna lie. Every other word I say is lie. But when I left coaching and I thought I was going to step in just to motivational speaking, I didn't know I was going to go into leadership. That came along as I realized that motivational speaking probably wasn't going to be enough, and that I had to kind of tune in and tap into a specific area, which was leadership. Um, I didn't know that what I knew was going to fit into the corporate world until I've interviewed over 300 leaders for a book. And in that time, what I learned was their struggles were the same things that I struggled with. I mean, it's just a different type of, their win is different than my win was. It's still a win, and you're still getting people to work together, and you're still having to have those kind of tough conversations that people need to have. So I was like, oh my gosh, we're doing the same thing. We're doing exactly the same thing, because in the end, what we're doing is we're working with people, and we're getting people to work together to get the outcome that we want.
So, given that you were struggling with the same things, did you have more answers for them?
Well, yes, because it's about people, and people have always been the thing that I am most intrigued with. Why do we do what we do? Why do we say what we say? Why do we get triggered the way we get triggered? I mean, I've just been fascinated by those things. And so, when I talk to people about leadership, one of the things that we talk about is let's really figure out how we can ask good questions to make people think more, because people do what they do because they don't know better. And if we have the right questions to ask to help empower them to do something different, then we're on the right direction. It's not telling because people don't care, right? It's how you question and how you make them think so that they can evolve. That's where the gold is.
Can we talk a little bit about winning? Because I love the fact that your name is Winn, and the sports analogies and metaphors are all about winning. But have we, as a species, come to the point where we can't be focused on winning anymore? We need to be focused on collaboration and cooperation, or we're just not going to get out of here alive.
Well, I think you have to define winning differently then. So if you can define it differently so that people will collaborate and cooperate, I think we're in a better way. So if we say winning is just about the scoreboard, or winning is just about, like, do we get the number of sales we got this, that we wanted? Do we get our quota? If we're only living there, I think that, yeah, people are going to be like cutthroat, and we're going to get hurt feelings. We're going to trample over people to get what we want. We get in that whole thing that my way is the only way. My way is the right way. But if we think about winning as something different, can we define winning as bringing people together for a common good? Can we define winning as learning to, like, every time we have an experience, can we sit together and say, what did we learn from this experience? Is that winning? Is that elevating ourselves so that we can be better the next time? What is winning? I think we have to just define it differently. When I was a coach, I defined it 3 ways. I said, look, winning is this. Number 1 is that when we leave the court, is that we gave 100%, no matter what happened, no matter the score. If we're down by 40, if whatever happened, did we give 100%? Number 2, did we play hard? Like, did we never quit? Because most people get challenged and they quit. Like, that's what people do. And number 3, did we learn something from the experience? And if we did those 3 things, I never cared what the scoreboard said. We did those 3 things, we won. We didn't do those 3 things, we lost. And so we talk about what did we learn from this experience? What did we gain from it? How did it make us better? What are we missing here? What did we miss so that we didn't win? What do we need to do as a team in order to play better?
So how do you translate that into the corporate world, into business operations? Because everybody says you have to, what gets tracked, gets measured, gets the attention, gets the that's where we go, right? How else do we know in a large organization, as opposed to a basketball team? How do we know if we're winning or losing?
Well, let me say this: you do have to track it, because if we don't, I was just talking to a client of mine. We're just talking about this. He goes, I lost a lot of traction on our recruitment for our people, our sales teams, which has an attrition rate, because sales always has an attrition rate. He said, I lost a lot of traction on that because I didn't pay attention to it. And when I didn't hold my people's feet to the fire, if I wasn't saying, hey, what are you doing with this? And what are your numbers look like this? Then people didn't do it. Because we know this, that people go to the least resistance. And if you're not holding me accountable, then I won't do it. So we have to have some numbers. But it's what do we do to get the numbers? It's how do we talk to people about the numbers? Is it really like, if you don't do this, you're out of here? Or is it, hey, walk me through the process of what you're doing right now? What's your biggest challenge that you have going in front of you that you're not able to meet the quota? Is there something that I can do to support you so that we can reach that goal together? It's a different way of means of doing the business that we're doing, other than the old, you saw the old thing with football coaches, they grab the guy's helmet and they'd shake him, kind of thing. Well, it's kind of that idea of the way that we speak to people is kind of similar to that. Or are we changing the way that we speak so that we can feel like we're working together, and I'm in your corner and you're in my corner, versus, just you got to eke this number out somewhere, or I don't care.
What have you noticed that's different as you go and give these presentations and these workshops and work with leaders and corporates? What have you noticed evolutionary wise? And I think COVID's been the biggest change agent, but what have you noticed over time?
Wow. Well, there was a lot of separation during COVID because people weren't around each other. And so people keep saying, we're not having the conversations we used to have. We're not having those, like those chance meetings when you'd walk in the hall and somebody's walking and you'd stop and say, how you doing, Bob? And how you doing, Cheryl? And what's going on? We're not having those. So how do we get that back? It seems like we're becoming more disconnected, even though we have Zoom and even though we have Teams and whatever else we have to connect. It seems like we're more disconnected. And how do we get our people back to having conversations? That's a huge concern of people because they feel like they're separate and they don't feel like people are hearing them on a daily basis. And if we don't get that feeling of being heard, we feel like we're not important.
Isn't it funny, as we're talking, I'm thinking back to the beginning of our conversation that to be able to get a team to function really well, people have to overcome that human nature of being self-centered. And now we're saying that we need to get back some of that that makes us human, the human connection, so
Mhm.
that we feel like we matter.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
somewhere in there, there's got to be like this happy middle ground, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if we talk about people who are self-actualized, right? Like the very top of Maslow's scale, how many people do you know are like that? That
Eh,
like, yeah, like I don't need you to tell me I'm doing a good job. I don't need to feel valued from anybody. I've got it all on my own. Like, who? Most people need to hear things like, "Hey, Joanna, I can't believe you just done such a phenomenal job. We're so proud of what you've done for us. We want to support you. We want to celebrate you." Like most people need that, right? I mean, let's say 97% of all people need that. And so we're not getting it. Then we feel like because that chance meeting where we might not have said it, but now we see somebody walking around and go, "Oh, I just want to tell you, gosh, you're doing great." Like even in that small thing makes a difference. So now it has to be really like, I need to schedule a call with you and I need to get on the call with you. We've got to schedule it from 8 to 8:15. And I know you're busy, but we still want to do this.
Pacific time.
So, so we've got to be able, I mean, it just changes the whole thing. And you have to be so attentive to each of your people. And you always have to realize too, look, if they're in your office space, you got to talk to people. They need to hear you. They need to hear what you think about them. You can give them a lot of coaching, a lot of constructive feedback, and you need to give them that validation.
So before I let you go, Sherry, what is your favorite locker room pep talk coach speech scene? What movie, what show?
Well, that'd be hard to say, but you know what? I will tell you one of mine. We were coming up against a team. This team had only lost 2 games all season, and both had been to us. So we're playing them to see who's going to go to the Elite Eight, right? And everybody, I mean, the news and the anchors and everybody saying you can't beat a good team 3 times. Everybody. I mean, our players are like, oh, it's going to be so hard to win 3 times. Like, it's going to be so hard because everybody says. And so when they came to the locker room, we had all these little wooden threes, these number threes that we had found, and we put them on each of their little stools. And they pick up the three. And I said, ladies, do you know three's a magic number? And they go, what? I go, yeah, think about it. You, when you go to any fairy tale, it's about the 3 wishes. 3. You think about as body, mind, spirit, that's 3. If you go to spirituality, it's the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, it's 3. 3 is a very magical and spiritual number. So everybody else doesn't know this, but you do. So 3 is not only possible, it's going to happen today. And we ended up beating the team. The only 3 losses they had that year were to us. And so at the end, which is great because the picture is not like number 1, like how everybody's the pictures, everybody's going 3, 3.
Number 3. Oh, that's great. That is great. Well, listen, I think you're just fabulous, and I could listen to you talk all day. I really appreciate you making the time for me today. From where are you? I know you're at home.
Montana.
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 Okay. Beautiful, beautiful backdrop. All right, Sherry, you take care of yourself, and thank you so much for today.
Well, thank you.